My cousin Harvey only calls when there's a death in the family. He's the custodian of our cemetery plot and must ask them to open the grave as though beneath the deceptive lid of grass there's an empty space waiting. Cousin Florence has died of a heart attack. Once again, Harvey suggests we drive out together. We haven't seen each other since the last funeral, but over 60 years ago, I babysat him as he toddled about, blonde ringlets at his neck. Each mile on the Long Island Expressway takes us back to the past we share. We grew up in that cemetery. Some families take pride in a homestead or a compound on the river. Ours struggled to preserve a patch of burial ground. In the 1930s, our grandmother and her 5 younger siblings, immigrants from Poland, bought a plot with 60 graves. They insisted we Jews own a piece of land from which no one could turn us away. The family met the first Saturday of each month in somebody's home. Even as a child, I understood the difference between an uncle and a great uncle, a second cousin and a first cousin once removed. My grandmother held forth, her gold watch swinging like a pendulum below her waist. Bubby, a leader in the workman's circle, could keep to an agenda even in a room of boisterous brothers and sisters. Maintaining the cemetery plot was the first item of business, but the family sent money to a sister in Poland, raised funds for the poor, planned the Hanukkah party, and the annual picnic. Bubby embraced the democracy of her adopted country and encouraged debate, but she always got her way. We children fell asleep, snuggling among the abandoned coats on the bed, awakening overheated and staggering into the night with the imprints of coat buttons on our cheeks. When the great uncles and great aunts died, I visited our plot again and again. As easy around the gravestones as on the swings of the park where we had our annual picnic. Harvey clutches the wheel and peers into the rain. I'm glad I brought my umbrella. His wife, Cynthia, died about 11 years ago, and my husband, Mac, 20. In the Jewish tradition, we will place small stones on their footstones today. What's with this strictly funereal relationship we have, I ask? When I die, you'll have to introduce yourself and your children to mine. You were the best babysitter, Harvey says. Remember the New Year's when we leaned out the window and banged pots and pans against the sill? But he doesn't promise to call between deaths. We drive through the cemetery gates to a dense outline of monuments, unlike the open lawns of our childhood. When we step into the downpour, I don't recognize anyone except the husband of the cousin who died. We are a small family above ground. The rabbi asks us to place a shovel of dirt on the casket. The soil is drenched and heavy, the shovel hard to turn. The thud and scatter of pebbles assaults the pine box again and again. When I bend to place a stone on my husband's grave, I long to laugh with him once more about these relatives who argued every month as they reached for roast chicken and potato kugel about what shrubs to plant in the cemetery. Now only Harvey and I remember the aunt who knit sweaters with armholes so small you couldn't move, and the great uncle who paid for my mother's piano lessons, and the cousin who ground gefilte fish every Passover, and Booby, who marched to demand the vote for women. Soon our family's cherished plot will fill with distant relatives who don't know or care about that once vibrant community of ignorance. And Harvey will pull away from my corner with my drenched umbrella on the floor of his car.